How's it going, everybody? Welcome to OP Entertainment. I'm Omar Darwish.
And I'm Pratik Cherian.
And this is OP Entertainment News, where we take a look at this week in movie news. Pratik, we've got a lot of business talk this week, but
perfect.
Before we get into that, let's put some icing on it.
All right, I'm down.
What would you say is the Disney Plus Marvel show that nobody's really talking about?
She-Hulk.
That's true. I'm going to counter that with the What If series.
Ooh.
Do you even count it, really?
I do, kind of. I will say, shame on me, because when they first announced like the Disney Plus shows, that one was probably in my top 3 for the ones I'm most excited about. And I've slowly like kind of let it slip away as the other ones came out.
To be fair, though, they've also announced like 5 more since.
Right,
yeah. And I feel like we haven't gotten like any promotion for this or really anything, you know? I know at like the last D23 they did something, but...
we've definitely seen like a sizzle reel, but yeah, they haven't. And I think that's part of the surprise for the show. I'm hoping they don't really give us, like, we kind of know that the first one's going to be what if Peggy got the super soldier serum.
Yeah. We know there's going to be a Chadwick Boseman one.
We know there's one where he becomes Star-Lord.
Yeah, and that's his last performance,
yes,
right? As that character anyway.
Yeah.
Well, now we know when it's coming. Coming in August. We don't have an exact date, but we just know August. Are we happy that this is our palate cleanser between Loki and whatever's coming after that?
Yeah, because again, I'm really excited for this. And hypothetically, if Loki like opens up multiple timelines and stuff, then the What If show can just be like, oh, hey, we're bouncing around these different timelines. Which is
there a What If from the comics that you would love to see MCU-ified in this What If show?
Not really, because I think the best part about What Ifs is just at least in the comics, it's like, hey, just let creatives like go nuts. And sometimes if a What If is super popular, it makes its way, or some of the ideas make its way into the main line. So really with this, all I'm hoping for is that we get some really interesting creative stories that's willing to take risks that you wouldn't do in the regular MCU line. Like, I want to see them do things that they wouldn't normally do.
I'm hoping that it's super successful too, and then that way maybe they take those risks on the big screen live action, you know?
Maybe. Yeah, we'll see.
We will see. All right, let's get to our next speed topic here. And this is kind of a bigger one for a speed topic. Amazon Prime, or Amazon overall, I guess, purchases the rights to MGM. Pretty much every MGM thing that's ever happened.
So from what I've heard, they're still in talks. It's not finalized.
They're still in talks, but when you throw $9 billion out, they're in final negotiations. And honestly, I would say $9 billion is kind of cheap for MGM. Like, you get a lot with that.
Okay, what does MGM have?
They have a lot. I know that they sold off a lot of their stuff to Warner Brothers in the past, which is why it's not as hot. But like, I think they have a lot of stuff still. Like, MGM has like so many shows and movies, I feel like, right?
Yeah. And we've been talking for a while about how like Amazon has been wanting to buy a studio because again, they're trying to pump up Amazon Prime.
I mean, they're spending like $1 billion on a Lord of the Rings show.
Yeah. And apparently it's got to be, for them to make back their money, it has to be crazy, crazy successful. So
they need like 100 million subscribers or something.
Something like that.
They're not going to make their money back on that. I think it's the same thing when you see like Netflix buying The Irishman for Scorsese. They know they're not going to make their money back on this. Like, what, they spend like 300 million on that?
Something like that.
Something crazy.
Yeah, I think the important thing is, like, you know that, and I know that, like, Amazon needs to know that. Like, hey, this might be the number you need, but hopefully the publicity and the extra eyeballs gets the ball rolling enough where you don't need it all to come back on this one show, but it brings enough eyes to your platform.
I've got to assume, as long as it puts them, like, up on the plateau, like where they're like, where it's like Netflix, Disney Plus, and then maybe Amazon Prime is the next one you talk about, I think they'll be happy.
Oh yeah, but I would call that, if they're the number 3 platform, I would call that a huge success.
Yeah, because right now, what would you say? They're probably like number 5 or 4. They did just put out Invincible. The Boys is on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I mean, I think Amazon Prime is one of those where, like, we know that they have good shows. What we don't do is, like, go there, like, oh, I feel like watching something. Let me turn on Amazon Prime. Like, that's the level that you have to be on. And I think Netflix is there, and I think Disney Plus is there. I don't know if there's another streaming service that's at, well, Hulu, but if you want to, like...
They're bundled,
but...
So do you think this could be the chess move to put them over the top then?
Possibly. I hope it works out for them.
I kind of hope it does too. I'm rooting for Amazon Prime. Out of all the streaming services, I feel like they're kind of the underdog.
I feel bad because it's Amazon, but you know, that aside, sure, yeah. I hope good things for them.
Better than Apple Plus. Anyway.
He said while on his Mac, while I'm on my iPad. Hold on, where's my iPhone?
Where's my Apple product?
You got your AirPods somewhere?
Yeah, right there. All right, let's get to our next.
Oh, I know where my phone is. We're using it to shoot. Never mind.
Where's your phone at? We'll edit that out. Don't worry. Let's get to our next speed topic then. This is also kind of a big one. Martin Freeman, is it Everett Ross is his character in the MCU? He's going to be in Black Panther 2, and he kind of spoke on I think it was James Gordon or whatever you say.
Yeah.
Some late night show, saying that the script is very odd for Black Panther 2. And he said Ryan Coogler had to keep like stopping and be like, well, just stay with me here. Look, this is all going to work out. And he said he hopes it's a treat. It could be bad. He has no idea how it's going to turn out. I guess we've kind of assumed this is going to be kind of different for Black Panther 2. And we're going to get something unorthodox because of the situation. But what do you think he means by odd?
That's the thing. Odd is the perfect word choice in that situation because it's enough to get us talking, but it could also just mean nothing.
Yeah, but it seems like the most negative thing you could say as an MCU actor in an MCU project without coming out and saying it's bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think the fact that like he had to have Coogler explain it to him or like stop, they had to like really have this discussion about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I trust Coogler so much. So
if he's explaining to him, you gotta imagine Coogler's explaining to every actor, writer, producer, light guy on this show, on this movie. You know.
But hopefully Coogler just has this like fantastic idea that when it all comes together.
I'm just hoping that it's not just something that works in his head, and it's something that he can actually, put to screen.
True.
But
true.
because if he has to keep saying, "Well, bear with me," it must be pretty weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you thinking we're getting a new Black Panther in this then? Like, does
you
this
keep asking me that every time. But
do you think this change like sways your opinion on it either way?
It doesn't, because I don't know. I feel like, especially when I want to say when Freeman was talking about it, he was talking about it in the context of like what his character does in his character arc. So I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
But that's just where I stand.
I think I'm leaning towards no now after these comments, because I feel like I feel like he could be suggesting that we just don't have a Black Panther in this, and maybe that's why it's odd. Because
maybe what's odd is that they don't acknowledge Chadwick Boseman's death, and so like
what's
odd is like the hoops they have to jump through to try to.
I think I know what it is. They cast Scarlett Johansson as the next Black Panther. ScarJo? No, she could do it.
Sure, why not?
She could play a tree. Now, a comic book that I was really eager to go out and read. I remember it was described to me and was pitched to me as kind of like the picture of Bruce Wayne Batman-esque type character, except for he's twisted and evil. And I was like, I need to go out and get this. I finally found it. I'm only about 2 chapters in. I know you've read it.
I power read it right before we started shooting, so yes.
They have it's called Nemesis,
right?
And they have just gotten Academy Award-winning screenwriter Emerald Fennell, who just won an Oscar. She's the reigning Oscar champ right now for Best Screenplay for Promising Young Woman, which I know you haven't seen, right?
I haven't seen. No.
I haven't seen either, but I've heard some great things about it.
I don't want to like rain on the parade, but if I could jump in really quickly. She's the reigning Oscar winner with an asterisk. Like, I feel like
it's 2020.
It's 2020. All the Oscar winners have like an asterisk.
You know what? Nobody's saying that about Chloe Zhao. All right. The fact that this property is getting such a like high level like script is kind of awesome to me. The project hasn't been greenlit yet, but the fact that they've got an Oscar-winning writer writing their script and it's finished, and Mark Millar even said, who by the way is behind this, Kingsman, Kick-Ass. He said that it's cool as shit or something like that. So what do you think?
Okay. So one, Mark Millar is kind of the if I had to describe his place, he's kind of the the circus ringleader. Like, he hypes up. His job is to hype up projects. Like, that's what he does. The other thing I'm going to say is his company is owned by Netflix, so it may not be greenlit. But my guess is Netflix is just going to take that.
You think it's going to go to Netflix?
If it's good. If it's good, why wouldn't they take it? They own the company.
I'm hoping we get a theatrical release, like
full
live action adaptation of this. Because only being 2 chapters in, I'm really hyped for this. Like, I know you're not as high on this property.
I'm not high at all on this property.
You don't like it?
I'm not a fan. I think the concept is great, and one of my things with like Mark Millar works is I feel like the elevator pitch is always fantastic. Like, the elevator pitch is enough to get you in the door and do it. I'm not a huge fan of his character work in that book. I'm not a huge fan of just overall his writing. I feel like that book in particular gives into all of his worst characteristics.
You think it's a bit overindulgent on like the
maybe
gore?
Not the gore, just if you've read a bunch of Millar works, you kind of know what I'm talking about. But yeah, like I said, all of his worst instincts. With that said, with a better writer in there who can take that elevator pitch and maybe do some more interesting things with it,
Which it looks like we have.
Yeah, so I'm interested.
Let me just throw this out there, just trying to manifest it. Matthew Vaughn gets attached to direct. Are you hyped at this point?
Yes, because I love Matthew Vaughn.
And we know he can adapt Millar's properties.
Yeah, he knows how to
awesome.
do it.
Because I think I've heard a lot of people say that the Kingsman movie is even better than the graphic novel.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So I love Kingsman, and I haven't seen Kick-Ass actually. I own it, and I haven't watched it yet. But just
I think the movie's actually better than the comic.
Better than the comic.
Or at
I
least
hear
equal
that.
to. So.
I hear that. So I mean, if you're getting an Oscar-winning writer, if you get a good director in there, I really think this has a lot of potential to be awesome because everyone loves Batman, everyone loves the Joker. Let's twist it around a little bit, you know?
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it works out.
Hopefully. I'm gonna be very happy if this gets greenlit. So, all right, are you ready to get into some main topics?
I mean, we talked about that last one like it was a main topic. Go on.
It's worth a main topic. All right.
All right.
One of your favorite animated shows ever is Batman the Animated Series, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, I figured you'd be real high on this news, but apparently you're not. We're getting a new Batman animated series called The Caped Crusader, Batman Caped Crusader. Bruce Timm's coming back to illustrate, and this is what I think is super interesting. J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves are producing it together. What do you think of this, Pratik? And why you don't like it?
Not that I don't like it. DC has a great track record when it comes to their animated properties. Mm-hmm. So with that said, I'm not down on it. If they hadn't announced it was like live action, I might be. But no, I'm not down on it. At the same time, I think that Batman the Animated Series is a really high bar to clear. And they're on the right foot by bringing in Bruce Timm. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm going to need to see, like, what does that writer's room look like? Like, what...
Matt Reeves and J.J. Abrams so far.
I mean, they're producing. Like, how much of the writing are they actually going to do?
Well, J.J. is...
And how much... And, like, this might be just me not having an encyclopedic knowledge of J.J. Abrams, like, IMDb work. How much, like, animated TV writing has he done? I know
Not
he can
animated,
do TV.
But TV.
Yeah, I know he can do TV.
J.J. Abrams is one of the staples in TV, like... in the past like 20 years, I would say. So like with Lost and what's the other one? He's got a couple. Alias. There you go.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen, so I can't really speak to them like that. I actually am not happy with J.J. Abrams being attached to this. I don't like J.J. Abrams. I mean, I'm sure he's a cool dude. I like him in interviews, but I like Force Awakens. Did not like Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker was enough to like. J.J. Abrams used to be like one of those filmmakers where if he was doing something, I would at least check it out. And after Rise of Skywalker, I'm like, oh, like he got his pass revoked.
See, for me, Force Awakens got me a little happy about him, like in general. But I could not stand what Star Trek was. Like I only saw like the first like 30 minutes and I was out. Like I feel like he had to dumb it down for like society now because like the old fans are dying off of the original like Star Trek like show. But I feel like it was like a bastardization of what Star Trek is for what at least what from what I know, and I'm not even a Star Trek guy like that.
Yeah.
But and just everything. I don't know. Like when I heard he was attached to Superman, I was disappointed in that. Like I just don't like J.J. Abrams in my projects. That being said, this is TV. That's kind of his wheelhouse a bit. Maybe this will be amazing. What I like about this is Matt Reeves is getting involved. Over under 50% Robert Pattinson voices this Batman.
Ooh. I feel like I need to know like what their working relationship is because we've heard so many rumors like coming out of the set of that movie that I don't know. Well, also, I feel like I love Matt Reeves because I love the Planet of the Apes movies that he did.
So good.
At the same time, can we wait for this Batman movie to come out before we just give him every other Batman project?
No, this is Warner Brothers, dude.
No, we're not doing that.
This is Warner Brothers.
We're going to promise you that you'll get 3 movies to finish your idea of justice. I mean Batman. And
dude,
then
they're already doing a John Cena Peacekeeper show for HBO Max, and they're already talking about a second season for that. James Gunn's already talking about a second season for that, and the movie hasn't even came out yet. I can't wait for the movie to come out and everybody just hate John Cena's character, and they're like, oh shit, we have 2 seasons of a show with him right now. But
John Cena, make that money.
Yeah, there you go.
Have them sign the contracts. Get a guarantee up front.
Oh my god.
Easiest money he's ever made.
But overall, though, just getting back to the Batman thing, I'm excited for this. I actually just started watching the Batman animated series. I'd been trying to watch it for years, but that stupid Man-Bat episode was always the first one whenever I tried to watch it. And it's so bad to me that, like, it just... I've seen that episode, like, a million times, and I've only seen, like, 10 episodes of the series other than that. But it's pretty good. Like, it's awesome, and it's what I love about animated shows from back in the day, and I wish that they... were like that again. The fact that they're bringing Bruce Timm, the fact that I love Matt Reeves, J.J. Abrams has good, credibility as far as TV. I'm super hyped for this. I think this could be awesome. So
again, I think a lot of it is just going to depend on what writers do they bring.
You're waiting on the next piece of news.
I'm waiting on the next. I'm waiting on the who's doing the voice acting, who's doing the writing. Like, we've kind of seen a glimpse of the animation style. It looks like they're going for a super, like, noir, like 19, like the look of the Batman that they showed, the image they showed when they announced it harkens back to, like, Batman's first appearance with, like, the super long ears, and stuff. So I don't know. We'll see.
It seems like they want to go that detective route, kind of like what they're doing.
Which
with
is
the
weird
movies.
because, like, it's weird that I'm not more excited because that's
I know.
That's what I've always wanted them. Like, that's what I'm interested in. That's what I want them to do.
I walked in the studio today and I was like, Pratik, had you heard the news? And you were like, yeah. I was blown away because I know this is one of the original animated series is one of your favorite projects. But I think once we get some more news on this, though, I think you'll get more hype for it. Or maybe they'll ruin it because it's Warner Brothers.
Maybe the first trailer.
Maybe we'll see.
Yeah,
we know we'll get it like 4 years in advance because that's when we got the first Batman trailer. All right, are you ready to get into some corporate shenanigans, Pratik?
I love corporate shenanigans.
All right, it looks like Disney is changing their directions. Bob Chapek, the new CEO, he's top dog over there at Disney. Him and Bob Iger kind of aren't seeing eye to eye on things. They're definitely different people to lay it out broad.
Yeah.
The article kind of released through Variety was talking about how, all the qualities of Iger, taking out unnecessary layers of management, giving the creatives what they need, having a clear vision as to what Disney and this train of Disney and this ship, how to steer it, right? It seems like that's all out the window. And I get that when you come and take over a corporation, you need to put your stamp on it. But I feel like, personally, this is very Warner Brothers smelling for me. This smells of Warner Brothers to me. What do you think about this, Pratik?
So, I read that article, and I share some of your concerns.
Yes.
I think that my personal stance is anytime you get a change in leadership, there's some transition pains. I mean, you've worked in a job where, like, a new boss is taken over, and it's kind of that same thing where, like, there's some of the ways that the old guy did it that all of a sudden start getting phased out, and you like them, and there's some changes that happen that maybe you're happy about. With this, I would say my level of concern is like a 4, mostly because it's concerning when it comes to Chapek's. He's not a creative. Not at all. That's not his background. He's a business guy. He was running Disney parks before, which is Disney's,
and home video.
Yeah, which is Disney's most profitable, like, area of business. That's where they make their money.
However, not to cut you off though, everybody who loves the parks apparently hates Chapek and what he's done to them. Did you know that?
I mean, he's also grown them though. That's the thing. Like, he's had success. So it's like, it kind of goes both ways.
But how much of that is Bob Iger acquiring Star Wars and Marvel and those being integrated into the parks? I think it's hard to give him credit for that. But go on, though. Go on.
No, so with that said, the one thing that kind of gives me some hope here was later on in the Variety piece, it talks about Alan Horn's successor.
Which we have split opinions on this.
Sure.
I think you don't get a financial guy to go in there just because he was under Alan Horn. Alan Horn was there, one of the greatest producers of all time.
But Alan Horn's been preparing for his retirement for a while. Like, this guy is the guy that he's brought along with him. There's a reason why he's the co-chairman. Like,
yes, but also you could say that about Iger, and now we're seeing that him and Chapek are not seeing eye to eye.
But Chapek was never, like... Chapek when the announcement was made, it kind of came out of nowhere. With Horn, like, we've known this was coming for a while. Horn's had time to groom this guy, and according to the article too, a lot of insiders think that the heads of Marvel and Star Wars, like Feige, Kennedy, Pete Docter, who's in charge of Pixar,
Yeah.
that they didn't want to see somebody new. They wanted to report to this guy whose name I'm blanking on, but they wanted this guy in charge. And again, according to the article, this guy is not a creative guy and doesn't pretend to be. So he's basically like, listen, you guys know what you're doing. Feige, you know, I don't need to, like, you don't need to greenlight your idea. I don't need to greenlight all your ideas. Like, you know how to run Marvel. I don't need to tell you what to do.
Yes, but there was never anybody in between in the first place.
Well, there's still not anybody in between.
There was, but okay.
Explain to me how this is somebody in between.
This is a financial guy in between. This is not a creative in between.
In between what?
In between him and Bob Chapek. Between Kevin Feige
sure.
and Bob Chapek.
So there's, again, Alan Horn was the guy between before.
Yes, but that's Alan Horn.
Sure.
He's a legend in the industry. To replace him with someone so unqualified by comparison.
But it's somebody who he's like picked and groomed like through these years.
I'm just saying, if you're right about maybe there's some sort of agreement between him and Feige that I'm not going to mess with your plan, you can do whatever you want. I'm not. If you want to greenlight something, I'm not going to shut it down. Then maybe yes, we're not there behind closed doors, so we don't know what these discussions are like. I'm just looking at it as a fan of the creative minds that are in these big like corporations. And I think Disney has been doing it like different, unorthodox for so long, but they've been succeeding. Now it's as if they're looking at Warner Brothers and seeing what they're doing, and they're like, you know what? Let's do that now. We need a challenge. Let's just throw a wrench in our gears. Like to me, that's really what this screams of. And I'm not saying that Disney can't turn this around. Disney can't see that it's not working and say, okay, Chapek's like, all right, yeah, you know what? We got to go back to letting the creatives lead. You know, but it just screams of corporate mistakes that we've seen countless times from other studios, and I just can't get behind these decisions. It honestly scares me. I hear your 40%. I would raise it to like a 70%.
Yeah,
Disney's still big enough that they can mess up a couple times and still right the ship. So I'm not that worried about it, but. 70%.
The thing that worries me about this, beyond just like, is Disney going to mess this all up, is the last couple times we've seen like Disney mess it up. What ended up saving the company in a lot of ways was them bringing in outside, like them buying Pixar and putting Pixar in charge, and them like buying Marvel and buying Star Wars and bringing in these creatives who helped turn it all around. And I look at it now and I go, okay, but if you mess up this time, like, who's going to save you?
Because they don't have Iger. Iger was the one that did all of that. It was
but it's like Iger was the one who brought them all in, but then it was still like the Feiges and the Lasseters, and it was those guys who had to like help right the ship. And I look at it and go, okay, forget about what happens at the top. Like, who is the outside creative that you can be like, we're just going to bring this person in to help?
Just picture
that person just doesn't exist in the industry.
We heard about like the Pixar people who were very upset that they have no say now as to whether their movies go to Disney Plus, whether they go straight to VOD, whether they go to theaters. If they take that away from Feige and he steps away, like that just I feel like at that point people will start to acknowledge, and then this will be the root cause of it, and people will come back to this article. But
I think a lot of that also depends on, like, we're trying to second guess Kevin Feige, not second guess, but we're trying to like get inside his mind. Like, what does he value? Like, when it comes to Pixar, a lot of the sources we're talking about, like the artists and like people who are like knee deep in the project, who of course like they were working on this project thinking like, I'm gonna get to see like what I worked on the big screen, my name up in credits, and then having it go to streaming just isn't the same. I don't know that I can't say that Feige values that the same way, so I can't be like, oh, that would push him out. Well, but I hear what you're saying as far as like, as Disney tries to change focus and try to adapt to the future, and what is it that's going to take the company forward as they like pivot to streaming and distribution channels. Like, there is that question of like, are you forgetting about what makes Disney Plus appealing is the things that are on it, and the things that are on it are there because of the creative.
And I hear you. I'm afraid that they're putting content away from being their number one priority right now. This is very, like, there's not one sentence in that article or any of the articles where they talk about how good the movies and shows have to be.
Yeah.
They're not talking about what they're going to do to make sure the content is good. It's just so corporate for me that I just can't.
So, and I think the other thing about that article was it talked about how what they're taking away from the creatives are control over profits and losses, P&L.
Yes.
So, basically now there's no way to judge like the creatives, because before that's how the creatives were judged, like how much revenue were you bringing in, and now that decision is taken away from them. So for me, like the thing that's worrisome is, okay, so if you took that away when it comes to measuring how successful your creatives are, what's going to be the new measurement in place? Because again, you and I both know we've worked jobs. There's always some metric.
It's going to be box office, which is wrong. That's why this whole thing just screams bad news to me.
But even box office, like a lot of box office was factored into revenue. I don't even know, like if you told me it was box office, I might feel better. I don't even have the confidence to go that far and be like, oh, it's box office.
But
at the same time, if that metric that's put in place, if they do have this idea of, hey, we're just going to let the creatives be themselves and we're going to take that, like worry about revenue off their plate so they can just create. If that's the idea and if that's what they end up doing, which is possible,
it's possible.
Then that would take my worry level from like a 4 to a 1 or a 0. But if that's not what they're doing, and if they bring in some other metric, and if they start shuffling creative teams, and if we see a bunch of like senior executives moving around, or if we see the wheels falling off, then yeah, I'm that alarm bells are going to a 9 quickly.
I think you're right. It really depends on how Alan Horn's successor, and I'm sorry I'm forgetting the name.
I have the article in front of me and I haven't even bothered looking it up yet. Go on.
I just feel like it really depends on his stance and what how much of a fence he's going to put in between the creators and what they want to get done.
Well, and when you say offense too, okay, like from my experience in the workplace, there's 2 type of fences, right? Mm-hmm. There's the type that protects you from what's going on out there so you can just do your job. Yeah. And that's the good type of fence. And there's the kind that, like you were saying, keeps you from your success. And I think it's a wait and see to see which fence is actually coming up.
It's just so odd that because Disney has been winning for years, they've been the #1 studio. That Disney has been the example, and it's just so odd that they would change direction so drastically, I guess.
Did we ever get like the solid answer on why Iger's leaving?
He's like 102. In his book, he talks about how after Disney Plus, he planned to leave before Disney Plus, but because of the streaming,
that was like his last big project.
He wanted to make sure that Disney Plus.
I don't know. The whole thing just kind of felt sudden, and again, with all of this Chapek news, again, I still feel like if you knew you were leaving, you should have, like, the plans should have been in place where you just have to put somebody there and let it go. You'd
think that Disney's a well-oiled machine, an engine that can run with any conductor at this point, and maybe that's what he thought. And he kind of says that in his book. I just feel like Iger's got until I think September or December until he's not chairman anymore. Mm-hmm. I think we're gonna hear if things don't change. I think we're gonna hear that Chapek gets fired.
We'll see.
Because it's either Chapek, it's either that or Feige leaves, and then the stockholders.
If Feige leaves, the
shareholders will fire Chapek.
They're done. They're done if Feige leaves.
Yeah, honestly. For sure. Oh, could you imagine if he goes to Warner Brothers? Speaking of, let's get into our next corporate shenanigans topic.
All right.
Pratik, I know Warner Brothers never has a regime change like ever, but it looks like it looks like the 5th or 6th regime change is finally underway. AT&T says
they still have like 3 more before they reach like
the Flash movie comes out.
Before they get to half the number of directors they fired off the Flash movie.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. I honestly feel like AT&T has just been like, all right, our bad. we messed up.
Yeah. Go ahead. We never actually said what the news was.
So WB is now not a part of AT&T anymore. They're washing their hands of them, and they are merging with Discovery. But it's more like a buyout if you really get into the nitty gritty details.
Kind of, sort of.
It's so.
Let me break Aang again. Go on.
Essentially, AT&T paid about $85 billion for Warner Brothers just 3 years ago. 3 short years ago. And they've sold off their rights for about $43 or $45 billion.
I thought it was 42, but you
something
might be
like
right.
That. And 40 odd billion dollars and various stocks.
71% of the stock of the new company.
Yes. But what this means essentially is Discovery is putting in. This is going to be a new company that Discovery is going to be running.
Well, so it's even though AT&T owns 71% of the stock, the Discovery CEO is the one that's taking over. Mm-hmm. We don't know much more than that. We don't know what the company is going to be called. We don't know what the plan is for the future. But basically, AT&T is done with Warner Media.
And it sounds like everyone's pretty happy about it because a telecom company should not have been in charge of these creative things in the first place. our last argument, our last debate about the Disney thing.
Yeah.
I think this puts WB in a really interesting position right now because, number one, we've got a creative team behind them now, so it can't be worse than AT&T and the decisions they've made. The only good thing,
I'll be, not to
Go
cut
ahead,
you
go
off,
ahead,
but
no.
I'll be honest. I don't know anything about the Discovery CEO. I can't, like, when you say he's a creative, if you look at like Discovery's platform, it's all like reality TV. Like, how much creative stuff is actually there? But go on.
I hope we don't get no more scripted series and just everything's a reality movie and like that would suck. And they just make a Batman movie every year or whatever. But I think it's better than AT&T, who kind of had no idea what they were doing. This, at least, new leadership for this anyway, for Warner Brothers, is not something that we are... we get it a lot, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we're not... But I feel like...
It's almost... It's not to get you off. It's almost like with the Joker. Like, if you don't like the Joker from Suicide Squad, just wait a year or two. We'll get another Joker eventually. It's kind of like that with this. Like, if you don't like the leadership at Warner Brothers right now, just wait. We'll get better leadership. I'm just glad that now they're creatives, at least.
Creatives.
Creatives. They're not a telecom company.
They're not a telecom company. At the same time, like, the people... When it comes to Warner Brothers, the problem... Like, part of the problem was AT&T, but again, part of the problem was just the people that AT&T put in charge.
Yeah.
And so it's I don't know, I'm just curious to see, like, that's why I'm waiting on this before I react to it, because it's like, all right, so who's going to be in charge of Warner Brothers?
So what do you think is going to happen with DC?
They've got two options here.
Okay.
They either stay the course or they blow it all up and start over.
Is there a course?
That's a good question. But it's like it's like trying to it's like, do we try to like graft on a new head onto this like grotesque body we've created, you know?
I'm hoping they continue with the DCEU they have. Well, you know, it's flooded in controversy right now with everybody, but I just still feel like it's either that or you got a hard reboot. Like if they hard reboot now, honestly, is the best time to do it because they can throw the excuse that they have new management, you know?
Yeah, I feel like you can...
Or lean into the Matt Reeves universe.
So I guess the question is, if they hard reboot, how much will audiences follow? Because if they hard reboot, like, you don't want to get rid of Gal Gadot. You don't want to get rid of Jason Momoa. Like, those are the two I would save. I think the rest, like, everything else...
Henry Cavill?
Nah, everything else they're already planning on blowing that up. Like,
kind of, yeah.
Everything else you can get rid of easily. But the question is, like, do you throw away those things that you had that worked in the hopes that the thing that you're able to create from like square one is able to be more successful? Or do you try to, like, again, graft those two pieces on and hope audiences aren't confused?
I just want to see Warner Brothers stick to something, for God's sakes. Like, dude, like they keep changing their direction without rebooting. It's driving me nuts. Either reboot or stick to the course, like to the course, quote unquote. I think this puts them in an interesting position though, because if Disney does end up losing Feige and falling off, and there's a lot of ifs, Warner Brothers has an opportunity to actually lift themselves above Disney's position right now. Imagine if they acquired someone like Feige or even Feige himself.
So first of all, I think it's early to be like,
to
start penciling in Feige to new positions, and plus I'm sure he's got like the strictest non-compete in the industry, but.
Probably.
But with that said, again, I feel like with all of the questions we have about Warner Brothers, about this new company, we don't even know like what the streaming service is going to look like.
Yeah, that was another thing. Do you think they're going to merge the Discovery streaming service with HBO Max? Because that's a quick way to bump up HBO Max's numbers. Boom. If you have Discovery streaming service, you have HBO Max. If you have HBO Max, you have the Discovery streaming service, you know?
Yeah, it would be a quick way.
That doubles their numbers right away.
I feel like... I think to me, and I'm not a corporate executive, but if you like my idea and you feel like hiring me to be one, go ahead. I feel like the best solution to go forward is to kind of mimic what Disney did with Disney Plus and Hulu, where you
back in the good old Iger days.
You don't have to like combine the two right away. Maybe you bundle it and be like, okay, if you want HBO, it's what, $15.99, $14.99,
something like that.
I forgot after I canceled it, but HBO Max for like $14.99. And Discovery.
Wait, you canceled it? Oh, they're back to 8 subscribers.
But like, I feel like, and then if you want to do like Discovery Plus, we'll add that in. You can get both of them for $17.99, and it's still about the price of Netflix.
I actually think that's probably exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And then maybe eventually they'll merge it all together. And I'm hoping they call it like Warner Disco Plus or something. Like they need to use the Warner name, like, convention. Like, I can't believe they haven't branded HBO with Warner Brothers. Like, Warner Brothers is the selling point. It's not just HBO. And now with Discovery coming in, it's much more than that. So I think, and we were kind of talking about this off camera, Discovery kind of has like a hold on the market as far as cable.
Yeah.
They have all the channels. Everybody's watching Food Network. Everybody's watching HGTV and TLC. I don't know if that's the same thing. But
and CNN would be under this.
yeah.
TNT would be under this too.
Is TBS?
I think TBS is.
Well,
I could go either way on that. I don't know for sure.
They have a lot. They have
Yeah.
a lot. Does this make you more excited for Warner Brothers' direction?
Hopefully, again, I need to see like who when the dust clears, who's
Yeah.
in charge, and if it's the same people, not excited.
I think it'll probably be a couple years before we get any clarification on what's really happening. Maybe we get some tidbits here and there, but I think it'll be a while before we really know what's happened with this merger.
Yeah,
But
I'm with you.
all right, that is it for our show today. Do you want to take us out?
Sure. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to tune in next week when we'll bring you another jam-packed week of entertainment news.
Hopefully, yeah.
See you then.
See you.